Hello, good evening, and welcome back. You might remember when Boris Johnson tested positive for coronavirus. He was then taken to hospital. He had a lot of care. People were concerned that he wouldn't pull through, and it was very touch and go. And then, of course, Donald Trump received it, the infection. He then also went to hospital, went to Walter Reed, and then tried to come back as soon as possible and did his drive-by with his personnel in order to try and promote hope. Well, Queen, although not having got it, and let's hope she doesn't, decided to go one further with her first visit since the lockdown in 6 months. As they say, the Queen leaves lockdown. Everyone at the Monarch 94, definitely high risk there, and William meet at Porton Down is tested for COVID so they can shun masks on her first engagement outside a royal residence for 7 months. And it's that kind of thing that makes you think that there's a bit of hope all the time she's still with us, that it's the kind of thing to make you proud to be British. She's not going to get caught up in politics. She doesn't do that. If the country does well, she says, well done to you for good policies, and if they do badly, she goes, maybe you want to think about what you're doing wrong then. But she does not take credit, and of course then she doesn't take blame either. And so if there's something that she doesn't agree with, you've also got to remember that she does still actually have final say on the law, which could be a bit totalitarian, and of course she can wage war on whoever she wants at whatever point she wants, and thankfully she doesn't, because she's a sensible old lady. But with people saying, as we will go on to say, that it's very bad, and they should have apologized and explained themselves for doing this, you go, well, or what? Are you going to try and prosecute her because she is the law? Have you forgotten that there's nothing really you can do? And so when they're saying, it's double standards because you've got all the rest of us have to follow these rules and she doesn't, and it's kind of making the point, I think, that she's trying to say, well, none of us do, and maybe it's something that you want to reconsider. But it's kind of one of those things where old people who have had enough of worrying about what other people think, and then they just say what they've wanted to say for decades, and they will just finally be themselves. And I think she's very much in that category, where she's probably been at home for 6 months, not really happy with the way things are going, not pleased with having to stay home, and has just had enough and gone, now I'm good. I'm actually going to come out, and I'm not going to bother wearing a mask. Bloody hell. I went through the Second World War, and in fact helped win the war, as she did, obviously not serving on the front lines, but with transport back in Blighty. And then after that, to have to say, now you've got to wear a mask because our Prime Minister's a bit scared. And her response just, no, definitely not a chance. And I do wish her the longest life possibly, no doubt about it. And of course it's supposed to be a risky thing to do, but she's just cutting straight through that. As they say, the 94-year-old monarch was joined by her grandson, the Duke of Cambridge, at Porton Down Laboratory. Definitely the favourite grandson. The pair spoke to those involved in identifying the nerve agent following the Novichok incident in Salisbury. Today's engagement is first time Her Majesty has ventured from a royal residence and so-called HMS bubble. They got 2 teams, 3 weeks on, 3 weeks off, and they have to quarantine for a week and test negative for the virus before they can interact with her. Heightened safety precautions were taken ahead of the visit to protect the Queen against coronavirus. All 48 people who were due to come into close contact with the monarch and the Duke were tested for COVID, and we all know that they can be false negatives as well, but she's going to take that risk. She is not going to be seen as the actual leader of the country showing cowardice or weakness. She does not know what cowardice is. Her Majesty said rising cases of COVID-19 infections in Britain were expected, adding the virus was horrible. But it's not going to take away from the freedom. And as she said on VE Day, that anybody isolating, well, we hope that we can meet again soon. And I know I'm going to sound like a right royalist, but she really does hit it on the head. I think just again and again and again. And this is just another example that we're all thinking, it's a second wave. We're all a bit concerned. What's going to happen? What's the government going to do? She just walks out of the helicopter. Of course, still in her pastel colours so that you can identify who she is, as if you need any help. Not going to wear a mask, no chance about it. She's not going to hide herself. She's not hiding away. She doesn't know what that means. And it's just phenomenal to see that we've got a middle-aged bloke who's supposed to be in charge of the country, who's supposed to be strong, and yet he's a bit scared of the sniffles. And yet we've got this 94-year-old, very small, short lady who's just coming out. She's not concerned. Not at all. And at times like these, I wish I had some royalty-free patriotic music to keep it going in the background. But I would just say thank you to Her Majesty for coming out, showing us all that no, we can keep things calm. And yes, of course, you're gonna have people who are going for a Republican, Piers Morgan as well, saying, "Oh, it's not a smart move," and it's a worry, of course. And the pressure group Republic said the Queen should have set an example by wearing a face mask, and she doesn't give a crap. I think it's definitely fair to say that that is not going to affect her whatsoever, and it is very peculiar to think that the source then of our confidence will be from a 94-year-old short lady. But I guess that's what it's come to, and she knows, being born into it, kind of gilded chains, if you will, but it's still her responsibility to lead this country while she is still the head of the country, and she takes that responsibility with the utmost humility and care that is required, and will continue to do her job for the entirety of her life. And yeah, someone like Prince Harry, the Prince of Soy, might choke and tap out, and so it's good to see Prince William still trying. I mean, yeah, his thing of climate change, and then the child abuse with Prince George, of scarring him and getting Prince George, oh, turn it off, it's terrible, because of the David Attenborough's nature documentary. Yes, of course, that child abuse is not worthwhile, and I'm sure that in some moments the Queen is concerned, but I think that she's going to fight on, hang on, to try and see us come out of this dip, and then go, once the mantle can be safely, successfully passed on, only then will she as well. But until then, there are still things that she's got to do, because apparently the entirety of Westminster, all those supposedly strong people and the so-called elites, just can't hack it. And they need the small old dear to come out and show them what they should be doing, because apparently they've forgotten and they can't handle it. So thank you, Your Majesty. And to everybody else, let me know down below what you think, if this was a foolish thing and now she's going to contract COVID because Trump did as well, and that's going to be the end of it, and she shouldn't have done it. Or even if that does happen, that she should have done it anyway, to prove that we can't live in fear. And maybe this will then change the government's response, because they know that they can't prosecute her, and if they try, then that's going to be a lot more freedom for all of us. Either way, let me know down below what you guys think. Or if you think she's just being, oh, I'm above the law and I'm not going to do what you say, and it's too arrogant in that sense, let me know. Always intrigued to hear what you guys have to say. But as always, until next time, long live the Queen, and have a good one.